If only I could change it now. Not sure I even would. 'Cause I can feel it in my bones. Regret misunderstood. It's just a feeling that I found. Are we forced to play this out? 'Cause it's not supposed to be this way. Telling yourself it's just too much, with your intentions to give up. No, we're not supposed to feel this pain. 'Cause we can be a little too hard on ourselves. It's all for nothing. We can be a little too rough on our hearts. It's all for nothing. We can be a little too hard on ourselves. It's all for nothing. We can be a little too rough on our hearts. It's all for
We are back. Thanks so much for everyone who is joining us now. And if you missed the last game, it was a really, really exciting one. I think more exciting than we had originally expected. As usual, I have Elixir and Grace here with me, who casted the said exciting game that you guys might or might not have just missed. It was Coventry versus Royal Holloway. Coventry managed to snatch the victory despite having a really, really sizable lead in the first half. So for Grace and Elixir, I've got a few questions for you. You know, I was watching the game too, and obviously one of the big things I think that came out of that, and you guys mentioned it quite a lot during the game, was the sort of passive, almost, I guess defensive, almost passiveness of Royal Holloway's side, you know, which kind of costed them some of the earlier rounds. So my question is, do you guys think that it was wise for them not to have an agent like Raze on bind? Given that the fact that Coventry sort of managed to utilize us so well, and maybe if Royal Holloway did have a more aggressive agent, they could have perhaps done better in that first half. I'll come to you first, Grace. What do you think?
I mean, definitely, yeah. It's you know, we said multiple times during that match that the lineup they brought was a very defensive-sided lineup. So it was almost like they hadn't really practiced attacking much together, or they didn't really have like a predetermined plan of how they were going to attack. It seemed very much like they were waiting out for the defense. At the same time, the lineup they did bring, arguably, I would say, intel on both sides is always a good thing, and they did have a lot of intel. It's just having that much intel is, again, very defender-sided. It could, again, just be down to preference. Like, again, how many people do you hear that complain about Raze as an operator to pick? It could be that they just don't like to play her because of how many times they've probably been destroyed, maybe in, casual or ranked or whatever, by a Raze. But again, maybe if they do start scrimming starting with attack more, maybe that is something that we'll see in the later weeks to come. And again, I think a lot of the time teams do tend to take kind of the stream analysis stuff on board, but they also will go back to how they've just played, and they will say, yeah, the first 6 rounds, we let them have that 100% win rate. What can we do to our lineup to kind of alter that in future if we do start an attack?
Oh, sorry.
No, carry on. No, yeah, Elixir.
That's all right. No, I think it's good for you to give us your analysis, because Elixir during the break was like, just aim all the questions at Grace, and I'm just gonna sit here and listen. But unfortunately,
you just gotta lean into being smooth-brained,
Yeah, he did use that term. Unfortunately, you're going to have to chime in on this one, as the Twitch poll prediction winner of the last round, because Grace and I both went for the underdog, but we will give you the clout and we will give you the recognition that you deserve. But I just wanted to ask you, how important was that sort of being able to manage the game properly for Coventry, so that there could have been a very different outcome if they didn't get a little bit luckier in the later rounds. They could have been a very different outcome. They could have really thrown that game away. It was theirs to lose, right? I guess what do you think they could have done better to make sure that the next time they come up, against a better team, that they don't sort of fall into a slump after going 8-4 up in the first half?
Yeah, well, we definitely saw after they actually lost their first round. Sometimes teams do take a couple of rounds to get their mental back after things have been going well, and then suddenly they do take a loss. Some teams do take a little bit of time to recover. I think it was around about round 9, though. It looked like they were taking a page out of Royal Holloway's book, and they saw that Royal Holloway chose to AFK most of the rounds. They were seeing whether that was working, and they probably didn't account for the fact that Royal Holloway did lose 7 rounds straight, and AFK doesn't work in Valorant, or any game really, if you're trying to win. So I think that's something they can just axe from the strategy board, because that just straight up doesn't work. But realistically, I think we saw once the sides swapped and Holloway actually were leaning into the defensive lineup of their team. We didn't see a duelist on their team at all, and they were very clear that they wanted to play defense. I think that some of the holes in their game plans were getting exposed a little bit more once the information was actually starting to be used by Royal Holloway, because in the first half, even when they did get info, they didn't really use it. And that was something that Grace was like zeroed in on straight away, is like, they have all this utility, but we're seeing very, very little of it. But we're starting to see, once they no longer were the ones who were supposed to be forcing the issue, and we're actually able to sit back and play that defensive style, let Coventry come to them, they were actually able to pick off people more and more. And we saw an excellent effort from Josh S with the AWP and the Cypher. So I think the fact that they also didn't have a counter AWPer at all really hurt them. We saw a couple of early picks, but if you look at the first 7 rounds, it's a lot of rifle play. We really didn't see any single shot weapons being put to incredible use on the side of Coventry. And I think that that's something that if they do want to start challenging those teams that aren't looking at an even scoreline, they're going to need to have someone who is more comfortable on that weapon, because the amount of times that Rambo just got one tapped from across the map, as a body shot, not even a headshot, just a body shot can change so much on the offense's game plan. I think that having someone that can lock off those sight lines and threaten a dropped body is something that I would like to see from Coventry if they're going to be trying to push towards that top 8 cut.
Well, now that game is over. We have a second match, a second best of 1 tonight. That will be Warwick University versus Loughborough. And as I mentioned earlier, I did go to Warwick University, so I am going to be incredibly biased and not even be even slightly ashamed of this one. So there is another Twitch poll in the chat. You can vote who you think is going to be winning this match, and the answer is Warwick. So if you guys are voting any otherwise, you're just trying to be edgy. But I will, as usual, do you know what? I'm just like advocating for a university that I graduated 4 years ago from, but it's just still like I have to. But like we did with the last game, we are going to go to Elixir and Grace real quick for their predictions. You guys know I'm just gonna go for Warwick. You know, I don't have a valid reason in this one, but I hope you two will have some better understanding than I will. So I think I came to Elixir last time first, so I'll go to Grace first this time. Who do you think will win this next fixture?
I feel slightly scared now to say anything other than Warwick.
Yeah.
I will point out though,
Yeah.
that Warwick, they have 3 points, Loughborough have 2. In terms of OMWP, Warwick have double the percentage of Loughborough.
Mm.
So, they've been playing against slightly more challenging teams. And given that there's only like 1 point difference, I do think this is going to be very evenly matched. As I've said previously, I love an underdog, so I am unfortunately going to have to go with Loughborough. Please
That's
don't.
okay. That's okay. Where's my phone? How do I unfollow you on Twitter? I'm kidding. All right, I'll take that. I'll take the Loughborough. I mean, you brought some stats to the table. I think, and also I know your love of underdogs, given that you went for Royal Holloway last round. So you're very on brand at the moment. So I'm gonna go to Elixir. How about you?
Speaking of on brand, Warwick currently winning the pot. Oh, we're seeing fluctuation. But anyway, I just want to point out that Warwick begins with a W. Loughborough begins with an L.
Oh no!
Wait, what is it? Which
Oh.
way is it? Which way is it? That's
Okay,
an L.
so
Yeah,
you
we
would-
go. Uni student, by the way. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Warwick. I've seen Warwick play a lot of the times that I've been casting, and I've had a blast casting their games, and they've won everything that I've watched them play. So I'm inclined to believe that they're going to be just adding to that stat line.
Mhm.
And as much as Luga Baruga coming out with the upset would be fun. I'm fully on board with Warwick.
I think the W for Warwick and L for Loughborough thing is so scripted that if it's any other outcome, I don't think I can accept it. I think you've made the case for any prediction ever. I'm not sure if the players are ready in the lobby yet. If not, I've got one more question for you guys. Just going back to that AWPing that Elixir you spoke about before. Yeah, so I mean, we're seeing this in competitive play as well. You know, top level Valorant, that you need an AWPer. Like you need a reliable, a good, reliable sort of efficient AWPer. And if you have that on your team, you're pretty much guaranteed to be able to do well and to be able to save yourself from certain rounds. So I think going forward, to the both of you, how important do you think it is, and how much emphasis should these university teams be placing on trying to either find a good AWPer or sort of switch roles and improve their skills to become a reliable AWPer? I'll go to you first, Elixir.
I think alongside an IGL, having someone that can pretty much just clutch out around for you is an absolute no-brainer when it comes to scouting. You can teach both of those skills, but I think it would be a lot easier to teach someone how to be a smart player and how to lead a team rather than teach someone to just be like a cracked out aimer. So if you are looking and you're having to pick between two, I would say look for an AWPer and then create an IGL. Would be mine, especially for the uni level where you can get so many different kinds of students coming on to different courses. You'll find someone that's an absolute freak with an AWP.
I just feel like a lot of these players are coming from CS:GO scene in the sort of competitive level. So I feel like as someone who does watch a lot of CS:GO, you'd like to think that there is a student somewhere out there that's like, I want to be the next Simple, or like I want to be, the next Kenny S and Device. And maybe they've got a lot of hours on CS:GO and they are a decent AWPer that they just need to switch over. But yeah, Grace, what do you make on the matter?
I mean, yeah, I think it definitely depends on what the players are coming from. Because I think there's so many FPS games that people have kind of migrated over from. at the same time, when it comes to AWPing, like, but defensively, it relies on a lot of intel. So a game like Valorant, where you do have operators, which, you don't have to rely on your teammates being able to just give information by like peeking or whatever, or just hearing things happen. They will give intel based on their own abilities. And then, on attack, you just have to be super aggressive. So it's the players that are coming over from CSGO, I will expect them to be having a dedicated AWPer on their team. But if not, it's again being able to kind of know how to play that right if you're not coming from CSGO. Which, the more you play, the more you like scrim as a team as well, you will start to realize like, oh, intel is super important for this. So yeah, it's an interesting one, and I'm intrigued to see how it will progress, because it is like CS on steroids almost. Like
That's a really good description. Well, we saw some AWPing abilities already from the last game. I mean, particularly Josh S. I want to throw that out a shout out for you. And now we do have Warwick versus Loughborough. Both teams are ready, and hopefully we are going to be seeing some better quality AWPers and more strategies. I'm not sure what map it's going to be played on, but I will throw this over to Elixir and Grace, who will be casting the next game.
All right. So then there were two. So we're representing both the sides. I'm obviously above the Warwick team, and you're above the team that's going to lose. Unfortunate.
Oh wow. Well,
this should be fun.
It's interesting to actually note here that we're doing bind again, and once again the slightly lower seeded team, they are picking to start on attack. So how do you think these lineups are going to be, Andrew? Elixir?
Well, to be honest, I'm hoping that we see at least a duelist on both sides. Now that this is something that I no longer have to take for granted, I would hope to see that we actually have a duelist on both sides. I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing Cypher as a mirror again. And Sage is a weird one. I've seen some teams start to phase out Sage. You mentioned it like at the head of the stream. We're starting to see a couple of teams phase out Sage, but at this level, even though we are now looking at a sort of higher caliber of team, I would still expect to see a Sage at this level, just because whilst the play isn't necessarily flawless yet, and you still see a couple of messy peaks getting punished and things like that, just her current healing utility, even if it has been nerfed, and obviously the infamous res, I think that we're gonna see a Sage Cypher, hopefully some form of duelist. I would like to see Jet, because I think she's fun to look at.
I mean, I think, yeah, you know my opinion on Jet. I will say for the audience now, I think that Jet is wonderful for maps like Split. I just don't really like her on bind. I think that she should be used where there is loads of chances for movement and rotation. Which, okay, fair enough, on this map there is some rotation, but it's through like teleporters, which, you don't have to be Jet to do that.
That is true. I mean, when you have the teleporters, everyone does have a form of quick movement, I guess, to get around the map. But speaking of, I'm looking forward to seeing hopefully some more compact and intelligent rotations coming from both of these teams whenever we see information being gathered on one side of the map or the other. Same map, but we're going to be seeing an entirely new management behind just the drink concoction, because you're already seeing the lineup is different.
Yeah, we're seeing the attackers are actually starting with a Reyna.
So we did get our duelist, no Jet, but they clearly Loughborough, they're playing to appease.
Yeah, Raze versus Reyna, that's going to be pretty interesting. Again, Reyna is the kind of operator which you bring to the table if you are someone that really, really has a high skill. You are able to do those quick peeks. You throw the layer out, you've got about 2 seconds to quickly peek them while they're blinded, or while they're distracted to shoot out that eyeball. So
yeah, speaking of shooting out an eyeball, a headshot going to open up the round very, very quick here for Warwick. So Loughborough going to be playing from behind. Now we're going to see how they're going to change up their strategy after that pretty much statement pickoff from Warwick. It looks like they're approaching the A site, but the spike bearer is going to have to move across that Jade sight line. So we can see R6 Gamer pretty much just chilling over by B as everyone is getting in position.
Yeah, interesting that R6 Gamer holding such a tight angle as well.
You know, some habits die hard.
Yeah. Okay.
Now the smokes have come out. They're now attempting to make it onto the point, but we're gonna see those trigger fingers get their use put in as Uzi is gonna rotate, making use of Reyna's ability. But Fortnite finding an exposed head and picking up 4 kills that round. And be having stern words with one person that stole his ace away prematurely.
I mean, you know, not bad opening round. You see, you know, both teams utilizing their utility. You see them going for these nasty little pickoffs.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised. Just looking back at the replay, like I'm surprised that Fornic got so many shots off, painting a picture around the head before completing the kill, and didn't take a single one in response. Like he got away with straight up murder on that 3rd kill. But you know, the pistol round, the clown fiesta round, just giving you a little bit of extra economies. It looks like we're seeing a much faster play here from the offense, willing to take it to Warwick, but they may want to watch out for the explosive that was sitting right at their feet. Abacus picks up pretty much everyone, and Deadeye doesn't have really pretty much a snowball's chance in hell of finishing off that round. So 2-0 to Warwick. But the W key is installed and is held down.
I appreciate that they attacked that so aggressively. It's just you want to have a slight split push if you are going to be that aggressive. So they have 2 places they have to worry about. So the defenders have 2 places to worry about. If you kind of line up for them like that, as we saw, it's like shooting ducks. Is it ducks in a barrel? Is that the phrase?
I think it's ducks in a barrel. Frogs in a well.
Frogs in a well, ducks in a barrel. Loughborough in a tiny corridor.
They are going to be going for a split push again. This time they're just getting information where they can. Babicus' drone is already going to take a couple of bullets. They haven't picked up the spike just yet. So they're definitely trying to just get some information, maybe a pick. And they're going to get one, Babicus being caught out of position. So I wouldn't be surprised now if we're going to see the quick rotation back to pick up the spike and choose which site they're going to be going to. You can see the R6 is chilling over by B, pretty much solo, but the rotation is coming around from Fornic, ready to go across that top line to rotate between A and B, depending on what they pick. And it does look like A is going to be that choice, as they are now taking a sightline from A short.
Ooh. Allowing them to get away a little bit there.
We're seeing the shots though, and R6 is going to trade out one before being dropped by Deadeye, and the offense have managed to get the spike planted in the confusion. Fornic now trying to find an enemy. Phosphorescent also picking up a gun, as it looks like they're looking to just chill in heaven for now, but Fornic able to pick up one with a headshot. And another. So Phosphorescent now making it a 1-to-1, does have a slight health advantage, but isn't able to get the full defuse. Knows that if he commits to anything too long, he's going to get picked off. But he does have time against him here. You can see that Loughborough aren't choosing to force the issue. They're just trying to be annoying and make it as hard as possible to defuse. No returning gunfire coming out, and he was just too slow on recognizing that Phosphorescent wasn't peeking anymore. So Warwick showing very headstrong gameplay there, as the Jade able to clean up, or Sage even able to just clean up that round.
I mean, they were just waiting to go for that long arm, but ultimately they were just like, I'm going to go for it. And, Loughborough didn't have that intel to kind of be like, oh, wait, they're actually defusing it now. I mean, again, it's like I said before, they know what their operators are doing, and they're using that ability to the best advantage, and they're playing the operators how it's meant to be played. We've seen UC on Reyna actually play Reyna how I love and Reyna to be played, and how she's supposed to be played. You're going for these aggressive pushes, and Oh,
Yeah.
but
Far too slow on that.
aggressive pushes.
To be honest, for a second I had to check and see if we were watching a replay because we were seeing the exact same setup as they saw before, but this time they hesitated on it and gave Babakis an easy 2k. But he's not going to be sticking around for this world much longer. Curry Monster picking off his opposite number. And Warwick looking very strong right now, and the round is already over. Finishing off screen. Loughborough's close round energy has immediately being sapped. Warwick saying is like, all right, we made a couple of mistakes this time. We'll show you what happens when we don't. 4-0 here. Very, very quick start to the rounds. Warwick showing kind of why I love watching them play on that green team.
I mean, yeah, again, it's kind of this thing where, as I said previously, Bind is a very balanced map in terms of attacker and defender. I think the positioning is the issue here for Loughborough. As I said previously, they do. I mean, they're splitting up well and nicely now, but there are just some rounds where they just seem to be going in one direction together.
Yeah, unfortunately for Zanaya wasn't able to pick up any with the took the shots, but wasn't able to find anything. And you could see the confidence from Warwick where they just walked straight at him and it's like, okay. Okay, you showed the level of threat that you possess with this, and we're just going to walk up on you. Deadeye finally being able to get a better number of his other half, but isn't going to be sticking around. Instead, going to be joining him very soon. And 3-4 here. Warwick once again playing with the numbers advantage, and obviously the spike still in hand here. So they don't actually have to force this issue if they don't want to. You can see one roaming up the top, but they're pretty much aware that this B-side is what is going to be the play.
Definitely, we do see a very big overextension here by Fornic, though. Just, yeah, he's gonna get punished for it. I mean, it's a bold move, but
yeah, the spike character going down now, 2-2. But since it hasn't been dealt, it hasn't been plant, the defender's still with an advantage here. So you see GC trying to go for a quick rotation, but less than 15 seconds now. They have to pick up and play, but instead they are just going to get slain. 5-0 here to Warwick. Now, Coach Grace, you imparted wisdom. You imparted wisdom in hindsight for the Bears. What is it that Loughborough need to do to turn things around here? Because they are trailing five unanswered rounds.
yeah. But again, we saw that last game. Maybe it is just, again, as I said, getting your feelers out, seeing how the other team are approaching things. I think they're very aware of this Cypher on the defensive side, definitely holding more of a passive angle the majority of the time. Again, to allow more protection when you are checking those cams and stuff. But that should be punished relatively quickly in a map where the areas are so wide.
I can't tell if that was just a perfect punish on that Hellfire. We didn't really see anything get done with the run it back. But the fact that he was able to just drop that in a perfect position and often instantly after the ult was over, you love to see it as we see Variation get the better of Fornic there. This is looking better for Loughborough University. Sometimes Coach Grace just knows. Sometimes she just knows how to turn it around. But Deadeye, once again, adding another kill to the red side, and they finally pick up their first round. Congratulations.
This is the thing, I just like to point out that, perfect... I'm trying to get my words out. I can't remember the word for it. The perfect example of how Reyna should be played. You see the Leah go out, and yes, they're not blinded as badly, but they move to shoot it out, and then Reyna flicks out and punishes them for it. Beautiful. It's one of those things where Italian chef hands, The
chef kiss being applied to his forehead. He's leading his team's scoreboard. The very least, I don't think he's leading the server, and it would be pretty difficult for him to, considering Warwick have such a large gap between the two of them.
But again, you would be expecting the Reyna player to be leading the scoreboard because that is how she is meant to be played. She's meant to be super aggressive and go for those kills. You want people with those really fast reflexes to be on that operator.
Very, very true. I'm seeing once again, Loughborough trying to get as much information as they can before picking up a spike that has to then be picked up if the spike carrier is dropped. Taking their time. 30 seconds now have expired without any information or shots really being gathered. The Rimba is sort of roaming now. See if they can spot out that slow Loughborough push. But it does look like we are going to see a commitment to B site as the spike gets picked up immediately and actually rotating straight back to A. Going to split the attention, but going to have to outgun. Deadeye is going to lose his run it back. At the very least, he's not losing his life as we see a trade out between Uzi and the defensive side. The Storm Arrow going to come through, going to tap Prey Monster once, but he actually runs towards the Sova to picks up 2, but runs out of ammo, so he's only going to be able to pick up 4 kills this round rather than that coveted ace. Now it's all on Loughborough to try and turn things around, firing into the smoke. They're not going to be able to do it, and Fornic is able to clutch it out there for Warwick. Looking dicey for a second.
Curry Monster was robbed of a 3k then. I felt that in my heart of hearts.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think if he reloaded whilst he was running at the Sova, then he would have had the resources.
You know, I hate it when the game is just so rude, but you have to reload, you know?
It's like, what do you mean I do not have infinite ammo? Like, yeah, like if he reloads here, he has it. I like that he was standing in the flames. Maybe even pre-patch. Maybe even pre-patch he lives there. You know, the rate of healing has gone down on pretty much every agent, but especially on the non-Sage agents. It was a solid play. Solid heads-up play, though. So definitely glad we got to look at it again. Just the no fear to run at the Sova. It's actually such a valid tactic, because obviously the closer you are, the more chances he has to tap you. But it also means that you do get to react to him guessing incorrectly much better. So it's whether you want to hold W or hold S, and Warwick looking at the first letter of their university, and the choice is clear. All right. So, unsurprising, honestly, see Babacus pick up the first kill. It's no stranger to seeing Raze be your entry fragger, but especially when Bab is the pilot behind the agent.
And again, using Raze on defense and having your boombot go one side while you go the other, it's, right, you know, the plays for days. That's how it's meant to be done.
Yeah, we can see it looks like Uzi and the 4 remaining members of Loughborough are pushing onto A, able to pick up 1. And able to avoid taking any damage there, making use of Reyna's signature ability. As the combat stim's going to come down for the rest of the team, and they're going to make rotations so that they can now start defending this planted spike. But Fornic just going to run through the trail of smokes and make it out of the other side without getting clipped for it. The satchel, they knew where he was, even if they didn't chase him down immediately. The 2 satchels sort of just announcing Bab's presence before he cleans up. And he's working on a very solid set of cash for him as the flank comes out for Fornic. Loughborough just getting outstrapped.
Very nice take back. I'm surprised that Reyna didn't react quick enough, but maybe, you know, because that first bit of the wall was taken down, maybe they were expecting them to push through it instead of just take the one next to them. I think it actually may have surprised the player of Warwick as well to kind of just suddenly find this Reyna behind them.
Yeah, like to be honest, like even with our minimap, I didn't see the rotation coming at all. I was so hyper focused on watching on how Bab was aggressing onto the 2 remaining members, and then just suddenly Fornic is in your backline killing your dudes. Seeing his little bit of a replay here from Bab. You can see he commands so much presence here, because he's throwing the smokes, he's getting the kills, and they had to focus on him. Cutting back to it after the replay, we're already down to a 4-on-4. And the smoke coming down, going to allow R6 to aggress if he wants to.
I mean, going back to what we said before this game started, we did expect it to be a lot not tighter, but like a lot what word am I looking for, Andrew? A lot closer but between the 2 teams. But you know, currently Warwick are, you know, they're on a 87.5 win run
it's just
for
strong.
yeah, it's very
I mean, they've only lost to York, which, you know, give York like a couple of months with any shooter, and they'll be making sure their team is up there, just
But
up there at the top of that scoreboard. So,
But even then, like, this is what I mean. The previous match, for example, you know, there was 6 rounds of winning and then, you know, 1 loss finally. But granted, you know, Loughborough managed to take a round off them in the first 6 rounds, but it's getting a little bit too orientated towards Warwick right now. I kind of want to get the pom-poms out and start cheering Loughborough on so they do kind of wake up a bit. But at the same time, I don't think they're playing this badly at all. Again, as I've said, I think they're playing their operators to how they're meant to be played, and they're using all of their utility, they're using all of their abilities. I can't really find a flaw in what they're doing at the moment. It's just they're being outgunned. And I wouldn't even say outplayed. There are just moments where there's a slight bit of luck with Warwick.
yeah, you can definitely tell where Warwick feel comfortable in executing certain like set plays that Loughborough just don't seem to have at the moment. But then again, you know, Warwick are playing defense, and this is something that I'm pretty used to from watching Warwick. They are pretty decent on attack, but the way they absolutely smother you on defense, it just honestly, they put on a clinic, and I would love to have seen to go and actually see the game they lose to see how that actually played out. But this is textbook Warwick here, where they take this composition and they just outgun you. And you know, occasionally, if outgunning isn't working, they're going to go for an outstrat as well. You see Curry Monster putting up the flash, but not peeking too early, and Fornic able to pick up a kill. But Warwick not looking particularly healthy at the moment. You know, as a ray of sunshine for Loughborough as they're staring down a 7-round deficit, or at least in better straits to deal with this one. I take it fully back. Ignore me. They're going to have to really rely on something. The Curry Monster actually pops the run it back. Is going to be trying to make the gap in alive agents a little bit slower, but isn't able to scout them out fast enough. A good retreat from Loughborough. Taking a long back road all the way over to the B site, but it doesn't look like they're going to commit to it. It doesn't really seem like they've figured out how they want to aggress this with the numbers disadvantage.
I mean, I understand why Curry Monster went for the ult then, but at the same time, like, it's kind of disappointing that it didn't play off for them.
Yeah, and
I think they definitely expected them to just be waiting around that corner. I think this is the thing, like, Warwick have kind of started to assume that they will be lining up for them. I say that as Fornic basically just waits for them to be lining up for him.
Yeah, but is going to get punished. Isn't able to pick up the second one at the very least. You got to look at the silver linings where we get them. They really do just be feeling themselves.
90%
there's no real
of
reason.
rounds have been won by Warwick so far.
Yeah, Loughborough definitely praying for that halftime getting here sooner rather than later, because they do not seem to have an answer. Do not seem to have an answer for this for this Warwick defense at all.
I'll want to see how things are going 3 rounds from now. Well, assuming that Loughborough can get a few more rounds in before. I don't know. I don't want to jinx it now. Caster's Curse. I know this is going to be horrible.
I mean, you Caster's Cursed the last team to at least nearly overtime, so I think they need all.
That was a Caster's
blessing. Somehow we find ourselves in this situation where Fornic has gone on the largest flank known to man and is questioning you know, what kind of cell reception they get here in the enemy backline. I love the cheese dangling from his gun as well. He knows exactly what he's doing. But who's he picking up Fornic? You know, at least he's not getting away completely with exposing the holes in their rotation. You see, at least gonna just put him down. But there's a couple other heads that you need to click on if you're going to be giving Loughborough their second elusive victory here. The numbers are even as they push towards A site. Gonna need all the energy they can from the chat in order to pick up this this round 11. We can see the picture in picture now as the rotations. It seems like the body language is clear. The A site is going to be the plant, but Unfortunately, caught looking the wrong way is Uzi. And Curry Monster gonna snatch him up and turn his eyes towards the spike. Okay, 1-1, and Babicus. Never mind. Classic Bab. Classic Bab. It's looking better, though. It is looking better, though.
I mean, slightly uncomfortable situation, really, to be left there. Yeah, it was 2v2, but you had two duelists versus a duelist and, you know, Sova. Which, you know, in terms of, like, fragging capability, slightly defender-sided then, but Sova, but yeah, was using their intel, just not obviously getting much from it.
Yeah, unfortunate, but there are signs of life from Lufra as we go into the last round before the swap. So all the cash going to get spent. Unsurprisingly, Warwick, you know, a university that's put a lot of resources into esports. Their team has definitely got a lot of resources to put into this final round. As the Hellfire drops immediately, going to force out the heal from the defensive side. Lufra announcing their presence pretty early.
It's just making me laugh a lot that Six Siege is kind of holding these very siege-like angles.
Just hyper focused on the one angle, so when he gets you,
yeah,
he
it's
gets
like, as
you.
soon as you appear.
And Curry Monster chilling, actually walks back into that one. You know, hearkening to Smash, almost reading the roll. There's no reason for him to actually move there. He would have been totally safe. And the heal has already been spent, so he's going to have to play with that low HP and isn't able to get anything done before he finally gets claimed by the Afterlife. Lufra moving in now with a 4-4 and less than 40 seconds remaining. Everyone congregating around A, and the spike is chilling on the... Is that chilling on the floor right now, or is it? It is attached to someone else. Never mind. I can't read UI. That spike is now planted. This is Lufra's last attempt to get a W on the board, so they're not going in 11 rounds. But Naya trying to make that just even more of a possibility.
I know exactly.
And never mind. All things must come to an end, and any chance of Lufra moving in on a W will be snuffed out there by R6 with the wallbang. 11-1. Coach Grace, fix your team.
I mean, you know, I don't realistically think there's anything. Well, there's obviously something to fix. I don't think it's specifically down to the loadout they've brought or the way, you know, the players are using their utility and abilities, because I think they're actually doing a cracking job of that. I just think that it's like you said previously, Warwick are a very esports orientated university. I think they've literally sat down and gone, who are our sweatiest FPS players? I'll lob them in a game together for Valorant.
That said, though, Lufra are no slouches either when it comes to esports. Once NSE inputted their like leaderboard, Lufra's involvement in esports just immediately exploded. They care so much about sports. Lufra are a very sports-oriented uni. The moment there was like, yo, league table, all right, we're into this whole esports thing.
They want those backs points. But, you know, again, 91.66% win rate for those defensive rounds for Warwick. It's interesting to see how they'll do on attack now.
Well, hopefully Zanaya's going to be doing a little bit better with a gun that doesn't have to be clicked so many times. Not able to pick out any three of Warwick as they sprint around the corner. But the attackers, Warwick adding just another W. Business as normal. The pistol round going pretty well.
I don't know. I would definitely like to see them kind of not pushing forward so much with Sova, but like just having him relatively closer to the attackers at the start of round and then pulling back very, very quickly. I feel like perhaps that is the play that could be used here. Just for early game intel, which they are going to need with, you know, Warwick. They are going to come in and they're going to be reflexes heavy. Yeah, you can't just wait in a corner like that. You need to know where they're
Yeah.
coming and go for it.
Yeah, I guess they're also trying to maybe hope that they can just like out
Right.
aim a little bit, but Warwick definitely recruited by typing any aimers in chat in their Discord and getting the first 5 people because they really do not be missing. Did I able to pick up one off screen? You know, still a lot of work to be done, and Deadeye isn't able to pick up a second one. So instead, we're looking at 3-2 and a 13-1. Just class.
This is
from Warwick.
this is kind of what I meant though about how having if you've got a team of gunners like that and you're defending against them, you want that early game intel. You want to push that Sova. We just saw that Sova was like the last person alive, and they were kind of stuck trying to get onto site, which is not great to have. Obviously, when you're trying to take it back, you don't want that person, you know, kind of not dangling back, but like just not pushing forward enough. I don't know. That was very, very, very unfortunate for Loughborough, and I do think that like as players they shouldn't be disheartened by that, because it's this idea of you know, they were using their utility really well. You had UC on Reyna, as we've you know, we mentioned this numerous times throughout the match, like playing Reyna exactly how Reyna is meant to be played, and I honestly love to see it. I'm a little bit of a Reyna fangirl, but yeah, absolutely love to see that. And it is just a shame. But again, Warwick, obviously the team to watch. 92.85% win rate for that match. So that's pretty unbeatable, you know, going forward from this. And I really feel like for other teams within this tournament, this is the part where I'd start to look at these VODs and start to kind of do a little bit of analysis. Yeah, Fornic, absolute gunner, you know, Curry Monster a gunner, Babacus a gunner. It's just it's difficult to beat players who do have that incredibly strong fragging potential just as players. And then when you take these sweaty operators on top of it, like Rays and Phoenix, it's a little bit like, ooh, spooky.
Yeah, and Fornic honestly also put in an excellent showing. It's
Oh,
the double
absolutely.
flank coming, the double flank coming in, just is like,
was
how
just
did I get here?
It was an absolute rubbish that we saw earlier. Like that was just not having the bullets. It was a robbery, and I am so sorry for Fornic that happened because, you know, pour one out for you, man.
Yeah, to be honest, you know, it's not the worst thing in the world for Loughborough, even if they are going to be seeing a 3-2 scoreline probably now. At the very least, the opponent match win percentage is going to be heavily stacked in their favor when it comes to the dittos, because Warwick just added another one to the W column as per usual. But I think that's at the very least the end of our block. I'm not sure if there's anything else coming tonight. But this happens weekly on Thursdays. So, you know, if you've enjoyed this content, if you've enjoyed obviously the casting, myself and Grace, cameras flipped, it's that way. Then make sure to follow us on Twitter and make sure to follow UK Valorant on Twitter and obviously now the Twitch as well. UK Valorant on everything. If you've just been enjoying what you've been seeing, and our host as well. Don't forget our host as well, our lovely host Yinsu, who brought us in. But yeah, this has been us. You got anything else as well, Grace?
Yeah, I think both. Is Yinsu coming back?
Let's get confirmation. All right, yeah, so we are going to be seeing Yusu back, so we can bring her back in, see what her takeaway from the game was. I know she was keeping an astute eye on what was going on. Welcome back.
Okay, I'm so glad I got to come back because I really want to gloat. Let's go, Warwick, my boys. Outside of that, I just think that, you know, Loughborough just got outclassed and outplayed today, I think. And I think my main takeaway from that game is, for the love of God, any other team that's watching this, pick Raze on bind. Just please do it, because I don't think it's a coincidence that the two teams that lost today, neither of them had the Rays. Whether that would have made a massive difference or not, in against a team like Warwick, I don't know, but I do think it's a mistake that they didn't choose the Rays. I don't know what you guys think. I guess Coach Grace can give us her analysis on that matter.
I mean, it's actually interesting because I remember at the start of the night you kind of saying that obviously since the recent patch and stuff, whether or not people were going to bring Viper. And again, as we were saying, we do think that Warwick are a kind of team who are very, very capable in their fragging ability. Obviously, reflexes on fleek over here. So, perhaps having those extra, like, the poison clouds and the toxic screen about to block their line of sight, I feel like that would probably be a slightly better option over the Rays. I think Rays would be very good for, well, doing these very, very impressive kills on them, but also like Rays can be quite good for slowing people down. And I do feel that, in my opinion, I'd rather have more blockage of the line of sight with Warwick. But again, like 92.85 round win for that match, like that is disgusting.
Yeah, I think that was a mini slaughter that we witnessed. But I think I completely agree with you. I'd love to see the Viper, but I feel like a lot of the teams aren't quite sure what to do with it at the moment. I'm seeing a lot of Viper on Haven, which kind of makes sense. Now her smoke goes through walls, but it's kind of an obvious choice on Bind. I almost feel like to include her. But what do you think, Elixir? Do you think it's anything down to the fact the Asian picks that led to their downfall, or did they just really get outclassed today?
I honestly think it was just getting outclassed because we didn't. The problem I have with the composition is we didn't get to see much of them defending. Obviously, we've been seeing a lot of Cypher just putting in incredible work on defense, such a fantastic defensive character, and that wasn't present on Loughborough's side. But at the same time, we only saw 3 rounds of them defending, so I can't even really comment on whether their composition was unstable because the composition looked fine to me. It's just that Warwick's strategies, their speed, and their just consistency is on a tier above currently what Loughborough are playing at. And I think this is just one of those matchups where you sort of just curse the Swiss format and go, they're only 1 game ahead of us, but realistically, they're an entire tier ahead of us too. And you just gotta, for Loughborough, they just got to take it on the chin, see what they can learn from Warwick, because we obviously saw a lot of Warwick-sided gameplay. See what they can learn from Warwick. Not necessarily what they did wrong, so I don't think there was much really they can look at that they did wrong. It was more when they did things right, they got outplayed. When they did things wrong, they died so fast they can't really learn from what they did wrong. So I think honestly, Loughborough, they showed signs of life on some rounds, and I think they're set to at least try and catch up to a 50-50 scoreline again after being handed that loss. But Warwick are just freaks, just utter freaks.
Yeah, I mean, we had to back them. I guess just throwing it forward a little bit, you mentioned, the Swiss round format, where that's kind of going to go out the window in 2 weeks' time when we have group stages and matches are going to be best of 3. How do you think some of these teams that are doing really, really well now will shape up in a best of 3? Because let's be honest, anything can happen in a best of 1, right? In theory, anyone can beat anyone in a best of 1. But to sort of draw that out and manage your game so well into a best of 3, do you think we're going to be seeing some upsets potentially?
Well, personally, I think it's actually where these smarter teams are going to start coming out on top. Because like you said, anything can happen in a best of 1, but you're going to really start seeing which teams are all aim no brain and which teams will be able to figure out how they want to do their map picks and how they're going to strategize around certain things, knowing that, if one map isn't going particularly well, they can always plan for the next map and see what information they can get about play styles and things like that. And you're really going to start seeing the mental. It's something I've spoken with Grace about loads when she was coaching our Rainbow Six team. Is at the end of the day, we're at a uni level. A lot of players don't have a lot of professional experience, and some people just kind of crack. And when you start playing these longer sets, that's where you're really going to start seeing which teams are like Warwick and which teams are getting coached properly and have that mental to be able to stick it out and have that fortitude, and which teams might have been able to, W and Mouse won their way through all of group
Mm.
stages, but aren't really ready to just hang with the big teams.
Is that something you'd agree with, Grace? Do you think this sort of mentality is going to really play into it?
I mean, definitely. You see, when you kind of go into more like best of three kind of situations, you know, stamina is a lot to play, the psychological stamina, but also the physical stamina. And I think, you know, the teams that are actually going to take their time beforehand to mitigate any potential fatigue. You know, they will be doing things like maybe, you know, a little bit of warm up, a little bit of, you know, some teams even do little bits of meditation. So my advice to the teams going forward is to actually utilize things around mitigating the effects of fatigue if you want to keep winning these games. And again, it's like, the thing is, okay, I'm going to throw a slight spanner in the works here. Yeah, Warwick are a very, very, very good team, and I will not fall that at all. As I've said, 92.85 round win, and that is just disgusting. However, there were a lot of times then that I noticed some of the picks they were getting was because people were facing completely the wrong direction. There was no flank watch. There was no utility being used for flank watch. So you could pull it down to more luck and just other teams not really having that flanking kind of mitigation knowledge. But in terms of like stamina for things like that, if you keep getting snuck up on constantly again and again and again, and you're not utilizing like smokes or things like that behind you, you're not having someone else watch that angle for you, that is going to get very grating very quickly, because you're not going to even see the people that are killing you. You're just going to die. And it's important for teams to kind of notice these things and then do something about it for the sake of their own psychological tilt. You really don't want to get tilted in these situations. At the same time, it's, as I say, it would be very interesting to see teams kind of go back over these VODs and kind of see how Warwick are playing. And maybe, you know, when we do go into the best of threes, Warwick will start getting slapped about a little bit.
I
Which,
hope
again,
not.
yeah, you hope not. But you know, Warwick, as we've said, it's almost like Warwick literally got their best FPS players and lumped them all together. So maybe they will have the predetermined knowledge to kind of say, we can play that psychological game where we just keep going and going and have that stamina.
I think there is plenty of time for a lot of counter-stratting, especially when we go into a best of three. But other than that, do you guys have any last kind of food for thoughts?
I want to
Before
see
I
the
sign
team that beat Warwick, and I want to see the run back of that match in finals. Hopefully later on in the finals bracket, but that's going to be one to watch for sure.
I'm just going to say UC keep playing Reyna, because 10 out of 10 job there. Otherwise, yeah, excited to see how this tournament will pan out, definitely. Obviously, the more time goes on, the more data will be available as well, which is very exciting for me. So we will see how things go.
You're going to be streaming and
I
sleeping
will.
in codes and data now. And the
I
next time
will.
you see Grace on her webcam, she's just going to have ones and zeros
Yeah.
as eyes. But anyway, there we have it. So the Midlands are the ones that dominated this week's University Valorant series. Both Coventry and Warwick have another win under their belts. Thank you for everyone for tuning in and watching, and thank you to the Newell for partnering with us. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and all other social media platforms and Twitch at UK Valorant, and come back again next Thursday at 7 p.m. for the next last, actually, Swiss rounds in the series. And before we move to group stages, I've been your host, Yingsu Collins, and thank you to our casters, of course, Elixir and Grace, and we will see you all next week.